Hey everyone, welcome to the channel where we love to talk about movies. Welcome especially if you're new. If you enjoy talking about movies and staying up to speed on what's in theaters and what's worth checking out, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a review. Alright, with that, we're going to get into today's review, which is for Breaking. I just got back from seeing it in the theater, so let's dive on in. A Marine war veteran faces mental and emotional challenges when he tries to reintegrate back into civilian life. So we're going to keep this as a spoiler-free review. It was based on a true story, which I think that aspect of the film is something that I found interesting. And I'm like curious to go and look up the kind of facts of the case and see what was true and what they took liberties with. So, kind of given that, it made me more inclined to like. I think the story was, in and of itself, it's an interesting story and it has a very powerful message and an important message. But translating that to a movie medium as opposed to something like a documentary, that is kind of where I thought it fell a little bit short as a movie. So, but I felt, yeah, so we'll kind of get into the things I liked and I didn't like. I think there was more that I didn't like overall for this movie. And yeah, like constantly throughout, I just kept like in the back of my mind was like, oh, well, this is a true story, so like don't like nitpick it too hard. But at the end of the day, while you can base movies off of true stories, they're movies. So whether it's based off a true story or not shouldn't really impact kind of the value of the film. Because if you want it to be a true story, then you make a documentary, which this wasn't. So I think some of the strengths of the film were definitely the acting. I thought like the three main characters, so Brian, who's played by John Boyega, I recognize him from Star Wars, and then I don't recognize the other two actresses, but their characters were Estelle and Rosa. So they were the main two in the bank, the managers there. And I thought all of them did a phenomenal job acting and really sold their characters, really sold, like, especially the two women, like, being hostages and having to be in that situation and playing off of, just the story where this isn't really a spoiler because it's kind of set up initially, like it's first act stuff. So, but if you don't want any spoilers, I guess skip ahead. But or like if you don't want to know anything, it's not really spoilers. But he's robbing the bank, but he makes it very clear he doesn't want to hurt anybody. And so I imagine that does numbers onto a person as far as like what the psychological damage is of that. And I feel like it would be, I don't know, there's different sides. If you had just a straight up like bank robber who was like didn't care about you and was just, we've seen movies like that and that happens. But like this one where you're being forced to like endure a situation, but you are then led to like kind of have some compassion and empathy for the person who's causing that to you and kind of understanding where they're coming from. I imagine that just takes a toll on somebody and that takes so much to recover from afterwards. But they played it beautifully, I thought. And so yeah, I think actors, those three main actors, I'd give shout outs to. I think all the other characters, like the side characters, were just kind of meh. And like they weren't bad, but the acting of them didn't necessarily stand out to me. But yeah, I think that is the highlight of the film. I thought the story, while again, I kept coming back. I'm like, no, this is an important message. I do see what the story is trying to tell, but for whatever reason, it just didn't really work for me at the end of the day. It was a fine movie, so I just kind of left more or less meh from it. And I think that's mainly just kind of how it plays out. Like, there's a lot of things that just didn't really seem to make sense. And like characters either doing things or not doing things when like there are several other alternatives that you think that they would do or not do. And so that just kind of kept coming around time and time again. And then kind of how the movie resolves, it was like it seemed like that option was there the entire time and then it just is taken without any explanation. So I just didn't really get how it ended. And I was left with like, well, if this is based off a true story, I can't nitpick it too much because if that's how the people acted and that's how real characters act, okay. Sure, when people are in stressful situations, they don't always make the most logical decisions, but it's still a movie. It's not a documentary. So that's kind of, I don't know. That was just how I felt coming out of the movie. So I give this one a C. I think it has a, that was just how I, yeah, felt leaving the movie. I think there's several good elements here, and that's mainly being the actors and the message of the movie and kind of the subject matter. But as a movie as a whole and a piece of art, it didn't really do much for me, and I thought it was just fine at the end of the day. So if you've had a chance to see Breaking, though, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this review, be sure to smash that like and subscribe button so you never miss a review. And thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next review.